If you're a man in your 20s trying to chase your dreams and you feel a little lost, this video is for you. It's to let you know that you're not alone. I'm 23 years old and I'm back living at my parents' house. Let me explain what got me here. After high school, I became an electrician. That was because I didn't know what I wanted to do at all. My one thing was I didn't want to go to college. The reason I didn't want to go to college is because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So getting a 4-year degree to just go get, an accounting degree or engineering degree when I didn't have any want or desire to do that for my whole life, I didn't want to do that. So I told my parents straight up, I'm not going to do that. They told me, go become an electrician apprentice, get your journeyman, and then do what you want to do. So I became an electrician, did that for 3 months, quit. I didn't want to do that. My parents did real estate, so I joined them on that. I did that for 2.5 years. I enjoyed it because I could call my own shots and make my own money, and I was kind of my own boss. Of course, my dad was the broker of the company, but I was paid strictly on commission, and I enjoyed that because I felt like I had no ties, and then I could create my own schedule. So for 2.5 years, I was doing 4 hours of cold calls a week, not a week, a day. And then I was working 6 to 7 days a week because weekends you have to show homes. I enjoyed it for the time I enjoyed it. And then I feel like interest rates kind of spiked up. So it kind of kicked me out of that. I wasn't able to make the money I wanted to make. So, I just wanted to save up and I wanted to try and find a new thing to do. So after that, I decided I wanted to become a truck driver because I heard from a lot of friends and family that truck drivers make a lot of money, and there's always jobs hiring for that. What I didn't know was the market is extremely scarce in the sense of they only want 2-year drivers, at least 6-month drivers, and if you're barely coming into the game, they don't really care for you and you're not going to get the wages that you want. So I was a truck driver for around 3 months for CR England. It took me about 3 months to get my license for that. And I decided to be an on-the-road truck driver because I didn't want to be home anymore. I felt like there was a lot of the world to explore. So I went out and explored. I did that. I went from Cali to Utah to Montgomery, Alabama, to Texas, to St. Louis. I even drove through a tornado one time. That was pretty scary, but it was like a light one. That was in northern Texas, Oklahoma. I learned how to deal with people. The reason I learned how to deal with people was because for 4 to 6 weeks of me being a truck driver, I was sharing and I was doing co-driving with another person in the truck. So there was 2 bunk beds and it was very tight quarters. We were each driving at least 8 hours a day and then sleeping for 8 hours. So we only got outside of the truck for maybe 1.5, 2 hours tops for that 4 to 6 weeks. Wasn't a good experience in the sense of I didn't enjoy it. I was very unhappy. But in that, I felt like I learned a lot of patience. I started journaling and I even started reading because at that time, I decided I was going to do semen retention. I was going to stop watching porn. I was going to stop doing all the bad things that I felt like were holding me back. So I learned a lot. I picked up a lot of books and I started reading a lot. And I started doing a lot of self-development as well as being grateful for my family and what they offered. Because out in the real world, it's tough, After I came back from being a truck driver, I knew that I didn't want to be home anymore. And the reason I didn't want to be home anymore was because I wanted to learn how to live on my own. From real estate and from truck driving, I accrued around $35,000 in my savings. So I moved to San Diego with my girlfriend. I learned a lot there too. We had a 12-month lease together and we were splitting the rent. She was really cool. We were sharing a 1-bedroom, so we bumped heads a lot. There was a lot of petty arguments, and there we learned patience. A lot of patience where we just had to learn how to deal with each other's ticks, the things that make us human, the flaws that we carry. I have my own flaws as well, and of course she had hers. Not of course she had hers. I have my flaws and she has too. And it was a lot of bumping heads, and that we had to learn how to, kind of team up, and it's me and her versus the world rather than me versus her. So I feel like we grew a lot in that as well. But through San Diego, when I moved to San Diego, I went to chase my dream of being a musician, making music for a living. I really enjoy it, and that's something I could see myself doing for the next 10, 15 years. So that's what I did. That's what I was trying to do. I met a lot of cool people. I partnered with a lot of cool people. We did a lot of cool things, but in the end, San Diego was too expensive. We were sharing a one bedroom in downtown San Diego, East Village. And if you don't know about East Village, it's kind of like the worst part of downtown in the sense of there's a lot of homeless. And, every morning you kind of wake up. This is kind of the difference between like big city living and small town living. Small town living, I never had the issue of sleeping. It was always very quiet, quaint. I wasn't really worried about anybody breaking into my car. I was in a safe neighborhood. Big city, I got my car broken into twice. Got my cologne stolen. Got the stuff out of my car taken. I got I have Beats at the time and they got stolen. And that was pretty annoying. But, that just comes with living. There's a lot of homeless tweakers. We live above an Albertsons. And they had everything locked up in the Albertsons. You had to push a button and wait for the littlest things like mouthwash, soda. It was silly. I didn't enjoy that at all. Every morning at 6 a.m. on the dot, there's like a schizophrenic person screaming at the top of their lungs. At first, I was extremely worried. Is everybody okay? Because they were screaming for help. They're screaming at nothing. They're screaming at cars just passing by. 6 a.m. I got my coffee. I'm sipping it, just looking at them like, damn. All right, that's pretty crazy. We're paying around $2,450, $2,800 after bills. So it was about $1,400 split between us. And through that, as well as daily expenses, I burned through about $30,000 of my savings. And I decided to come on home because I wasn't going to be able to live without getting a 9 to 5. And I knew that would really mess everything I wanted to do up, and I wouldn't want to chase my goals as much. So I'm back now. I'm in my own room that my parents have for me. And I'm extremely grateful for them. But I am lost. I decided I'm going to go back to college. I'm going to go to a community college, LASPO, and pick up a part-time job because I try and go to the studio once a week at least, and a 4-hour session is $300. I spent around $2,800 on my Sony Alpha 7 and learned how to make my own content. But I don't know what the future holds for me. I know there's a lot of opportunity in this world. Fear does creep into my mind because I don't want to live like this forever. I feel extremely overwhelmed in the things that I want to do and where I want to go. And I feel like being kind of an entrepreneur, in the sense I'm chasing my dreams and I'm trying to make money off my dreams. It feels like there's so much to do, and I put so much on my daily schedule that it's hard to complete everything. So I'm kind of learning how to slow down but still operate in urgency. And even today I slept in and I feel like I'm really getting down on myself, but I got a full rest of my day. So should I get down on myself, or should I conquer the rest of the day? And should I plan the rest of the week to try and move forward proactively rather than looking down upon myself? That's where I feel like reading comes in, these walks come in, meditating comes in, where it really helps alleviate my mind. But that's my story, and that's what I'm going through right now. So if you're going through the same thing, let me know, man, because I know I'm not alone in this. I know there's a bunch of dream chasers out there that are going through this same mental burden that I feel like we knowingly accepted because of the path we want to go down. But that's my story. I love y'all.